morning and welcome everyone to this second parallel dialogue or conversation of this cycle of conversation on the framework of the New European Bauhaus under the title What Would Gropius Do a Century Later, launched by Conexiones Improbables. I am Begoña López Averasturi from Conexiones Improbables, and today we are not going to host or to conduct this conversation. Paulina Kisiel is going to dynamize this conversation. So welcome, Paulina for PPNT Gdynia. I will say in that way. You can say the long name because for me it's too difficult to say that name. So welcome and thank you to being here.
Yeah, thank you for inviting us. I am from Pomeranian Science and Technology Park in Gdynia Design Centre. We are located in Poland, in Gdynia, next to the Baltic Sea, and we are supporting the development and promotion of creative industries in the city of Gdynia, Pomeranian region, and also a Baltic Sea. We organize also a Gdynia Design Days festival that is a huge festival in the Baltic Sea region, which is full of inspiration, practical exhibitions and workshops and other activities that will make you feel more understandable for the design and how it's working. Today we are gathering again. It's our second parallel conversation, so it's the third meeting overall. The initiative is run by Conexiones Improbables. We were able to hear that from Begoña, but also there are other participants taking other parallel discussions, and we are divided into different areas, into different themes. There are other themes like sustainable and inclusive city, which is covered by Košice creative industry, digitalization, governance and citizenship, which is VAAG, technology and society from Holland, smart industries and services, that's us, so PPNT Design Centre from Gdynia, education and human development for sustainability, Navet Science Centre from Sweden, cultural, creative and innovation, that's Meter Hub and Sina Glossa from Italy, bioeconomy, food and health, Freire Universitat Bozen, Italia. I might be spelling it wrong, but please forgive me. A future for all spaces and territorial cohesion, that's spatial foresight, that's from Luxembourg. Today we are having our special guests from different countries and different fields, but I would like to start from our hosts, from the initiators of the event, and I would like to give my voice to Roberto so that you can say a little bit more as well.
Thanks a million, Paulina. Thanks, Begoña. Good morning, everyone. I would like to greet you on behalf of Conexiones Improbables, Improbable Connections. Hybridizing to innovate is our slogan. We're partner of the European Bauhaus and promoter of this cycle of conversations. It's the title that Begoña has said. What would Gropius do a century later? Gropius, as you know, founder of the Bauhaus in 1919, was an architect and thought of architecture as the ultimate of the big creative expression. But if he were alive today, what does Gropius be? A maker, perhaps a community activist, perhaps a designer, a technologist. Today, continue with another of the 7 conversations that we are promoting, with which we want to contribute to enrich the discourse on the European Bauhaus and how from different disciplines, different perspectives, an inclusive, sustainable and beautiful Europe can be built. For Conexiones Improbables, Basque organization working on the creative economy at international level, cross-pollination, cross-fertilization between disciplines and sectors is central. It's in our core business. And linking urgent sustainability, digitalization with a human face and applied creativity. Three keys to the transformation of our organizations and our territories. Three keys that we think that are perhaps the main factors to transform Europe nowadays. I would like to thank our participants to their commitment, and today especially Paulina Kisiel, Executive Manager at PPNT Gdynia, also a partner of the European Bauhaus, for leading and organizing this meeting on the smart industry and services. And of course, to the people who are following us on the stream, people that perhaps in the future could see the record of this conversation. Paulina, it's your turn. Thanks again.
Thank you. That was Director of Conexiones Improbables. Thank you for introducing us. And now I will ask a little help with Begonia, because I want to introduce our speakers. And if you can share a little screen, then we can go around with our participants and panelists who will say a little bit more about themselves.
Yes, let me know with whom are you going to start, and I will start the image.
I will follow my screen, and this is random, but I feel like, first on my screen is Tapani. So Tapani Jokinen is from IDZ Berlin. Please say hi to everyone, introduce yourself, and just make sure you're saying like 2-3 words about yourself, and we can follow with the conversation.
Yeah, my name is Tapani Jokinen. I'm a strategic and circular design consultant in Fraunhofer ICM, and also heading my own design consulting called Tapani Jokinen Design, and I'm specialized on circular design. And yeah, working in Finland and Berlin, but because of the COVID-19, now anchored in Finland.
And the next one is Päivi Tehko-Kallio, from also your neighbors from the same area. So
thank you, Paulina. Thank you, Paulina. Yes, it really seems that a small country like Finland has almost an overrepresentation in this event, which of course I'm very happy about. I'm Päivi Tehko-Kallio, running my own consultancy on strategic design from Lapland, Finland, from the Arctic region. I might be coming back to the Arctic today later as well, and I'm also the past president, just about the past president of the Bureau of European Design Associations, BEDA, with 51 member organizations in 26 countries in Europe, and of course Paulina's home organization is one of them. So thank you for inviting me.
Super happy that we can have you. The next one in the row is José Manuel López. So welcome, and please introduce yourself.
Welcome. Thank you very much for inviting for this small meeting. My name is José Manuel López, and I belong to the University of the Basque Country in Spain, in the north of Spain. I am going to talk from an academic point of view. I have been during more than 20 years academic staff. Before, I have been working in a company, electronic company, so I think that I can compare both kinds of works and how to work with new generations, because I have been vice dean of my faculty. So I think that I can share some experience that we have carried out in this scope. I hope not to bore you. Thank you.
Thank you. I feel like we have really equal, because now there's going to be Ewa Janczukowicz-Cichosz from Pomeranian and Technology Park. She's my colleague and a deputy director of Pomeranian Science and Technology Park.
That's true. Hello, everyone. My name is Ewa Janczukowicz-Cichosz, and as Paulina said, I'm a deputy director of Science and Technology Park in Gdynia. And I'm responsible for communication, development, and creative department in this Science and Technology Park. And I would like to focus today on the circular economy that can be part of the New European Bauhaus movement.
Thank you. And the next one is Oscar Garcia.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Oscar Garcia. I'm working inside OBE Kinematics, which is a business unit inside the HETI group. And yeah, well, what we do, we develop and produce new fittings, new kinematics, in order to generate a better world. And some keywords that we use in our daily life are related to ergonomy, to versatile spaces, etc. So I'm responsible of development and innovation. And at the end, we link with the services that we can supply to our customers. Thank you for letting me to be here.
As well. And the last but not least, Monika Klein from Szczecin Media Design Institution. Can you tell us a bit more about yourself?
Yeah, hi everyone. Thank you, Paulina, for inviting me for this nice event. My name is Monika Klein, and as some of you, I'm based, like in Poland and in Berlin. So Media Design Association is the association that for 12 years boosts the creative industry and the design in our region. So we're trying to work both with the small companies, but also on the policy level with our local government to just introduce this concept into the regional strategies. And I'm also the academic. I work at the Academy of Art with the subject that calls design management. So I'm educating the young people in the field of design and also at the University of Szczecin. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Monika. So together with us, Boris, I don't know if you want to say just hi and just a few words about why you're here. Boris was introducing the first conversation of the What Would Grappius Do a century later, and he's here today to help us with making notes and making summary of all the conversations.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much, Paulina. I look forward to this conversation because smart industry and services, it is at the backbone of the transformation, of the future transformation of our society. So it is really the cornerstone on which we can work and reflect. I was moderating the first session, and I'm supporting Conexiones Improbables in this particular exercise of thinking about what the Bauhaus could be, because as you know, yes, it is an initiative of the European Commission, and they asked to the partners to define what are going to be the content of the Bauhaus. So I'm going to listen to you, and I'm going to take notes, and of course I look forward to have a very fruitful conversation. So thank you very much.
Thank you. So the new European Bauhaus, I feel like everyone in this room know already, but maybe for our audience is an interdisciplinary initiative of the European Commission, and it aims to create a space for creative dialogue. It is an invitation to discuss and an action for people who want to create more importantly, design sustainable lifestyles. The initiative considers multiple angles, including social, cultural, artistic, scientific, technological, and economic. So that's why those people who are here are from different fields, different organizations, so that we are interdisciplinary and we can kind of talk about our theme of smart industries and services from different angles. Of course, there is 3 words that are describing this initiative, which is beautiful, sustainable, and together. And with those 3 blocks, 3 themes, we will probably be able also to talk a little bit more after our presentations. So I would ask first person to be presenting, and I will follow maybe the same scheme and ask Tapani Jokinen to start the presentation and say just his perspective, your perspective on the new European Bauhaus, smart industries and services, and future sustainable. We can't hear you, Tapani. Can you unmute yourself? Thank you.
Now, could you see my screen now?
Yes, everything is perfect. Thank you.
Excellent. Let's go. I have few slides for.
Remember,
yeah,
you have only. Remember, you have only 6 minutes.
Exactly. Okay. Could you see my screen now?
Yes, everything is perfect. Thank you.
Excellent. Let's go. I have few slides for.
Remember, you have only. Remember, you have only 6 minutes.
Exactly. Okay. And yeah. Okay, how I understand our theme today. So our planet and modern lifestyle are in under pressure. We are facing many ecological, economical and social challenges at the moment. And scarcity of resources and biodiversity lost and all the health problems what we have facing at the moment. So it's really time for this kind of discussion what we have. The original Bauhaus was founded in a utopian program, and we are in the same stage that now we need a new optimistic vision manifesto for humanity, how we could live in harmony with nature in regenerative economy. I will change the slide. We are still inspired and influenced by Bauhaus movement. It is part of our DNA, how we're designing things. Forms follows function. Even today, I would call it should follow the purpose, but it's still guiding us how we are making. The name Bauhaus and its legacy sets the high expectation for what the new European Bauhaus will deliver, from speech to deed. How we enabling sustainable lifestyle, enabling sustainable everyday life. What new European Bauhaus stands for. And I have to say that it's still a little bit blurry for me. So, but during my presentation, you will see how I will tackle this. So basically the biggest question is, who is the new Gropius today? Who are the face? What kind of branding and Bauhaus will deliver? How it will inspire us? As I said, we are facing so big disruption at the moment that, but at the same time we have been given the power to choose where we are heading. So are we select dystopia or utopia at the moment? And we are pretty much on the left side at the moment. So we really have to change the way we are designing our things. How new European Bauhaus have impact in my field? And you could see here, Victor Papanek, all what we are doing have an impact on environmental, social, economic. So we really have to be careful what we design and how we're designing things. 80% of the product footprint is already determined in a design stage. So before you sketch any lines on the paper, you have to have a specification and your ambition and goals in a place that you could achieve low carbon products or service in the market. And sustainability starts with the design. And that's why I'm saying that if you want the product to be repairable, for example, you have to design it to be repairable, recyclable, upgradable, maintainable, and so on. So it's super important part of the design journey. Digital is the key sustainability enabler. So today there is no physical products anymore. There is always two layers. There is a physical side, which is more in a micro level, making the product as environmentally friendly as possible. But at the same time, there is always the macro level, the system, the product service system that you have to create also to enhance greater circularity. And there are many reasons for digital side that, of course, it influences and empower citizens and consumers, that you have a good relationship with the manufacturing. You could implement more smart and efficient, less energy consuming technologies in a place. But second point is really important also, that actually with digitalization, we could improve existing technologies, that it uses less energy and it creates more efficient systems. We could improve it connecting the things and IoT type of things, so we could really enable operational improvements in there, and different kind of big platforms and ecosystems that allowed greater sustainability to come. What role you understand the cross-fertilization strategies in your field? Design is a team sport, and it's always team sport. So the biggest friction and the biggest challenge what we are facing in Europe at the moment is, on the left side, is the normal organization structure, that it's built into the silos, that there are different departments, but how much they talk each others, and sustainability challenges what we are facing are so complicated that you really have to have a multidisciplinary approach to solve those problems. So that's why on right side is the direction where we have to go, but it's not easy to change hierarchical system into something totally new. So what I'm saying in here, that silos are working really well in farming, but not in a circular economy. 3 experiences and ideas and actions. So first, what I'm saying in here, we should start the dreaming. Bauhaus, original Bauhaus was built on the utopian program, and we have to do the same. But how to do it is this slide. We could lighthouse. We could look at the future, creating a beautiful utopia, closing our eyes and dreaming what kind of world we and our close ones want to live in the near future or long-term future. And you just create that. You could create models, you could create films, science fiction films, all kind of things that, and what is great with design, it creates abstract in a concrete and tangible things that you could communicate with others, and you could test and prototyping basically those experiences and technologies that you are proposing here, and then collecting that information and look at today's technologies, enablers, and from that you could actually create a roadmap towards that utopia, that vision what you have created, step by step, what we are able to do in 1 year time, 2 years time, and so on. And this really works. Second is that what is our ideological side on here, and how we communicate that. And what is the new Bauhaus? I mean, functionalist was absolutely clear, but what is the next step? Is that the circularism or what it is? But I think that we have to find a way to communicate it. And the third part is, of course, turn those actions in the design doing side. So we should design it. And I think that the Gropius would be so excited if you look at what Joost Smith was making on 23 on the left side, and today having a 3D printing, animation, everything. I mean, we have so much cool enablers to make this world great and sustainable. So thank you. That was my side.
Thank you, Tapani. That was fantastic. From who is the new Gropius and design as a new sport, a team sport. We will continue our conversation, and as before, Päivi, if you can step and try to present yourself.
Thank you again, Paulina, and thank you, Tapani, for a very inspiring speech. I hope it's okay for you if I choose not to use my presentation. Paulina knows that it was
I know that.
really quite simple. I only used keywords, and I can tell you the keywords here because I rather prefer to see all your faces. So I will do as Tapani was doing. I will explain my understanding what Bauhaus, the new European Bauhaus, is very briefly. I will talk about the impact. I will talk about the meaning of cross-fertilization, and I will share some thoughts on how we should proceed from here. And then I will share, at the very last part, I will share with you either one or two quotes. I have not decided yet, so we'll see. But in any case, what is my understanding of the new European Bauhaus? Very, very briefly, for me, the new European Bauhaus is the opportunity for all of us in Europe, us Europeans, to design the Europe we want to live in. This very briefly is my understanding of it. And the radicalism in this is that this really is an initiative by the European Commission. I would never in my lifetime have thought that the European Commission would come up with an idea like this. Let the Europeans design the Europe they want to live in. Totally radical, and much appreciated, I'm sure, by all of us and many others as well. Now, the impact of the new European Bauhaus. For me, the impact is twofold. It's first in the process of the new European Bauhaus initiative. And this is something we are living each moment already since January. I also believe that something has already changed compared to the Europe we lived last year and before that, because the process itself, us being here, is a proof of that change already. I don't think that before the new European Bauhaus initiative was launched officially in mid-January, groups of people like us or any other combinations we have seen coming together in different parts of Europe, hundreds of them, possibly thousands of them, would have happened unless we had the initiative. So this has really been kicking off something new and something radical. And I again appreciate the initiators for this possibility. The second layer of the impact comes after and through the actions and deeds that are really related to the new European Bauhaus. Now we are talking about what could it be, but it will start to realize in processes, in projects, and in the end, the outcomes might be something quite tangible, as well as is what happened with the original Bauhaus, kicked off 100 years ago. So 2 levels of impact, and the one we are already living, the second we will still have to wait for. The impact of the new European Bauhaus could become a movement. And this is something, there's an expectation for a movement, but I always say and repeat that you can't create a movement, you can't predict a movement, you can't make a movement happen. The movement happens if people believe in it and if people start to create the movement one by one, slowly, step by step. The original Bauhaus definitely became a movement, but it was in the beginning, it was not a movement. It was an initiative kicked off by Gropius and later his friends and colleagues, etc., etc. Now we look at it as a movement. That's hindsight. And we'll see whether the new European Bauhaus will become a movement or not. That remains to be seen, certainly. For me, the impact of the new European Bauhaus is very much depending on if the intention built in it, kicking it off through a very expansive co-design phase becomes a reality. We are certainly part of the co-design process, all of us as well at the moment, but whether that becomes wide enough, again, remains to be seen. Now, the role of cross-fertilization, Tapani touched this very well in his speech already. We are dealing with systemic challenges, and when we are talking about climate change and the need to mitigate climate change, when we are talking about digitalization as a tool or a toolkit, if we are talking about the development of democracy, the value-based system we live in Europe, these are all systemic challenges, and they quite naturally require collaboration across a lot of disciplines. Design, however, in this systemic challenge and how we try to create solutions for systemic challenges plays a special role. It's design's role to pull different disciplines together and to support the process, add value to everyone else. For me, this is the most important value in design, that it doesn't create value for itself. It creates value for all other fields. And it's an enabler of cross-fertilization. Now, in relation to thoughts on ideas on how we should move ahead, I very much see the challenge of the new European Bauhaus in its scale and scope. The ambition is to create a European process. The ambition is even to go beyond Europe at one point, and the sooner the better, obviously, but it only becomes an inclusive process if we really can make sure European-wide that also those who are not the usual suspects are taken along and are included in the processes. This is happening in some different parts of Europe at the moment, but there's always a risk that someone is left behind, and this is not definitely the intention. The intention of Europe in its development is to make sure that no one is left behind. And to make that not only a letter, but actions is a challenge. And I think it's all our responsibility, all of us who are here now around the same table, so to speak, and everyone who has the wish and ambition to take part in the new European Bauhaus process, to really make sure that no one is left behind. If people are start being left behind, then this becomes an elitist process, and this is not the intention of it. So I would say that in every single action, I believe it's our responsibility, each of our responsibility, to make sure that no one is left behind. And again, a co-design process, design methods can support this to happen. I will conclude with one quote only. The other quote I had in mind would have been from Viktor Papanek. So it seems that we Finns think alike as well. So I will leave that. Tapani played that card already very nicely. But what I will say, a quote, is a quote from Walter Gropius from 1967, 2 years before he passed away. And he said, that if I have a talent, it is for seeing the relationship of things. And I think that this is absolutely important. He was so wise to say that in 1967 already. And for the new European Bauhaus, I would say that this is very, very critical, elementary. So if I would close by saying, what would Gropius do 100 years later? He would do exactly that, which was his talent. He would see the relationship of things, and he would be absolutely ready for the new European Bauhaus. Thank you very much.
That was great, thank you. So new European Bauhaus, yeah, it's a radical approach to see the future of Europe by design. Like design tool to create new systematic change. I also really like the part when to really embrace the unusual aspects of the initiative. Okay, thank you very much, Päivi. That was, of course, wonderful as always. And I was expecting that you will not follow the presentation, so that wasn't a surprise for me. We will follow with who was next? It was probably José, right? So José Manuel López, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. I am going to try to share my screen. Maybe can you see the presentation?
Yes. Yeah, everything is fine. We can see that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the previous speakers for the clarifying and inspiring presentations. I apologize for my terrible English. I will try to explain as well as possible. When I was facing this presentation, I noticed that actually I cannot to give a very theoretical explanation about the concept and so on. So my position was to make an exposition about the practical actions that we have carried out in our scope. So the presentation will be, first of all, handicaps and opportunities and more future opportunities. I am the Faculty of Engineering of Vitoria-Gasteiz in the Basque Country University in the north of Spain. It's the large educative institution in the Basque Country, and as we are a public institution, we are very, very serious. We have to make a lot of reports. We have a lot of economic rigor, and we need years to implement any change. So we must be very imaginative to create new opportunities and to make new connections outside of our scope, outside of our academic scope. So in this point, in this moment, in this section, I am going to talk about the opportunities that we have been able to implement in order to get that objective. The first one, from a very academic point of view, we have to develop a serious science, but this serious science always is based on crazy ideas. If we always do the same, the result will be the same. If we want to improve or solve any problem, we need imaginative ideas that many times are not inside of our capacity, our capabilities, but we have to look for outside of our direct environment. So these crazy ideas, I am not going to make a very long report, just a short resume about the, we have made some papers about devices, algorithms, and so on. We have papers about a macroscopic point of view, for example, a PhD thesis that I have is super design about quantification, design, and methods for implementing new energy planning models for socioeconomic development. And the student was able to develop some ideas like energy transitions with a social component, the coupling between the human development and the energy consumption, with open accounts, because in Europe we are used to externalize the production, and in international rankings we are very, very green, and Europe is not so green that we think that it's. So we have to be very, very critical with our behavior regarding the sustainability and so on. And now a different idea, but is very, very relevant, that making quantification, objective quantification, it's not a bad idea to understand that a higher energy consumption is not always a better human development index. It's like food. You need food to live, but if you you take an excess of food, probably you will become ill. So with energy, maybe it's similar. Societies probably do not need as much energy as we are consuming right now. And this PhD thesis was used in the Spanish Parliament. Indeed, I have a video where experts are talking about this problem of energy consumption and sustainability, making a citation to this work. But in short, this kind of science must reach people. It's this kind of science inside of academic field only. So we have carried out beside actions that are internationally in development at an international scope. So we have carried out an Erasmus Plus project about sustainability. The duration was 3 years. The title was European Studies in Renewable Energies, and we got out of euros just for traveling. And the idea was make a short internships among 5 universities of Turkey, Lithuania, Italy, Romania, and Spain. And we mobilized more than 100 of students and more than 50 faculties, staff faculty, and it was very productive in all the sense. In fact, some students have made friendship, and the last year before pandemic, they were on holiday to visit them, and it was very productive from a technical point of view and even from the human point of view. These kind of actions are very expensive in terms of effort for us, because it's not regular. As an official institution, we have to be very, very imaginative to be able to carry out this kind of actions. This at the international level. How to implement this kind of ideas at a local level? I have here two examples. For example, here in our city, we have a company, you know, Mercedes-Benz Spain, the German company of cars. Here we have a factory with more than 5,000 employees. It's a large company here in our city. And the obvious way of work for this kind of companies is to contract a consultant and implement ideas about sustainability or to improve the job of the employees, contracting companies, a consultant, for example. We have made an agreement in order to solve problems that they have related to predictive detection of failures and correlative robotics in order to solve some problems that they have in the factory. Predictive detection of failures means that we are going to save a lot of energy, a lot of materials, and a lot of effort. So it is directly related with sustainability because it not depends just on some batch of our lighting at home. They spend a lot of material and a lot of energy. So an improvement of only 3% means a lot of energy saved. And regarding collaborative robotics, the point is how to improve the positions, the works of the employees. Why? Because we know that in a factory the work is not a friendly work, and we are going to try to improve the works, making that the robots collaborate with human beings, developing the most hard works, but in a direct contact, not from one side the robotics and the other humans, but all together. And outside of this collaboration, we have more collaborations related with sustainability ideas. For example, with the City Council, with Big Barrel Land, from Improbable Connection, I'm sure that they know this. This is a place in order to boost spin-off companies to create business plans and to survive the first years that it is not easy. We have collaborations with one company's union in order to explain them how to improve their processes and so on, and of course with media. These are some examples that I hope that they feel in the scope of this concept, because I actually am not able to theorize about it. Regarding future opportunities, we are working in the Enlight project. What is Enlight project? Enlight project is by definition a European university network to promote equitable quality of life, sustainability and global engagement through higher education transformation. In practice, this is a union of several universities in order to make joint studies and to boost the internship of different students in different countries. So this concept fusions make the fusion of a concept of Enlight and smart industry and services. Because actually in our faculty we work with Industria and smart industry and services, of course. We are now designing, in fact I have now a meeting about this master. We are designing right now a Erasmus Mundus joint master degree, a specific branch for Industry 4.0, and the title is Applied Data Science. And the point is that we are going to collaborate 3 universities, New Galway, Bordeaux, and my university, University of the Basque Country, in order to try to reach this kind of concept. Of course, we are going to be helped by European University collaborators, and I hope that we will get the objective. And in order to finish, we are working also in an application, an European project. The title is Women STEAM Ambassadors. Probably you know the STEAM concept. Maybe it's not used for everybody. STEAM aims to integrate science, technology, engineering, and mathematics with the arts as means of enhancing learning experience, demonstrating that things are connected. I think that it is relatively similar to this Bauhaus concept. Somehow, I repeat that I am not the expert, but probably it's near. We are working 3 Turkey universities, even outside of the European Union, 1 Greece, 1 from Portugal, 2 German universities, and mine from Spain, and this is a 2 years project. That's all. Thank you for your attention. These are our experience, and it's a pity, but I am not going to be able to be later for discussion due to the other meeting of this master, indeed. But thank you very much for your attention.
Sorry, you couldn't hear me probably. So thank you very much, José, for this presentation, connecting sustainability with science and science with industry. That was also probably future challenges for new European Bauhaus, and you already fulfilled it a little bit. Thank you for the presentation, and so sorry that you can't be a part of the discussion later on, but hopefully maybe we can meet each other in the same group or somewhere else and discuss a bit more about New European Bauhaus. Now we will go to another presentation. Janczukowicz-Cichosz, you can start your presentation.
Okay, so I will share my screen. Do you see my presentation now?
Yes, everything is fine.
It's fine. Okay, it's fine.
Right, thank you.
So yes, I already introduced myself, so I will just follow my presentation, and I can say that my presentation will be a little bit more down to the earth, because I will say about something more about circular economy, and I think that the circular economy is a way that can help us to achieve this New European Bauhaus goals, which is inclusive, sustainable, and beautiful Europe. And why I think so, that this can be the answer for our challenges, because now we maybe I will start with the smart industries and services. What it is for me. For me, smart industries and services is when they respond to the current climate and economical challenges. And the same is with this circular economy approach, where we start to think about waste, not as waste, but as materials. And circular economy challenge our climate, deforestation, loss of biodiversity, and pollution of land, air, and oceans. And the circular economy is the answer for the sustainable growth, transforming the way we, our modern society, design, produce, and consume goods and services. And the future of emerging technologies and new innovative models will play an important role in the transition to the circular economy by enabling and facilitating the digitalization and collaboration. For many people, circular economy is something more than recycling, but actually, as we all know, is definitely something more, as the basic principles of circular economy is about designing out waste and pollution, regenerating natural systems, and keeping products and materials in use as long as it's possible. And what circular economy and European Bauhaus have in common is that it's a way to create this green and sustainable, and accessible, inclusive, and beautiful Europe that we need and we want to achieve in the European Bauhaus movement. So I think this is a great opportunity to use those methods and already existing tools that are measurable, scalable, and easy to grasp. And that is the way we can achieve all those goals. And talking about cross-fertilization strategies, I think that, as Päivi said already, and also Tapani, that we need to combine different fields, different people with different backgrounds, knowledge, and education, and to create those cross-disciplinary teams that will focus on our future and to tackle those climate and economical challenges. So I think that this is very important also in the European Bauhaus movement, and we need to start thinking about this cross-fertilization strategies as a very basic and crucial strategies. And I would like to say something more about 3 examples of circular business, circular products that can help us to achieve this sustainable, beautiful, and inclusive Europe. One of it is reusing of old bricks to build a greener future. And this is a company that produces like new bricks from reused bricks. And the way they do it, it helps us to reduce the CO2 emissions, and we can create new buildings with old materials and reuse it all, not only once, but several times. And it's really important to start thinking about new materials in constructions of new buildings. So I think this is one of the examples, but there are many, many more examples like that that we can use in our new buildings. Another example is about asphalt that is produced by an Australian company, and they were working for this project for nearly a decade, and they come up with an idea to use old cartridges and elastic plastic, like plastic bags, and they combined it with new asphalt and some glass materials, and they produce a very strong asphalt that is even 65% stronger than the traditional one. And we can see that this business model is about circularity, but it also implements something, a material that is even better than the previous one. So this is a great example of such a circular product. And the third product, which is a product that is used by mostly everyone in Europe and in the world. And as we know, every second garbage truck of garments and clothes are ending up in a landfill. That's why it's very important to change and shift the mindset of fashion industry. And this is a great idea, example of a shoe, Adidas shoe, running shoes, which are made not only from recycled materials, but they are made to be remade. So Adidas manufacturing worked with manufacturing and recycling companies, and they produced shoes that can be recycled once again. So it's very important that we still keep all the materials in use for as long as it's possible. And going back to this European Bauhaus movement, I think that what we need and what we should do is to find really scalable methods and scalable products that we can use, not only products that are easy to show on presentation and business models that work only in small scales, but we need bigger scale and products that are being used for by population, and this will lead us to this beautiful, sustainable, and inclusive Europe. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Waste as a resource, using circular economy as strategies, and scalable methods to engage even more people around. Eva, if you can stop sharing your screen, then we can maybe follow with, you should have it on the top of the screen. Yes, thank you. Yeah, so we still have 2 people to be presenting. Then the next one is Oscar. So Oscar Garcia, please. We need to kind of hurry up a little bit. I don't want to be you, but you know, we still have to fit in our frames. So thank you.
Okay, I think that you are able to see my screen, right?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, so I'm going to make our humble approach about the smart industry and services. Just remind, please, that I'm coming from a factory, okay, a factory where we develop and produce some kinematics, new stuff in order for generate a better living, let me say. And from this point of view, from this perspective, I try to answer what do we understand by this term, okay? What do we understand by smart? We understand smart as a end user oriented perspective. So I think some of my colleagues introduced the word of valuable. So I agree with that. Okay, so the things that we do should be valuable for the consumer, for the end user. So in this sense, easy of use and versatile spaces for us are smart, considers smart thinking. But moreover, we do think that smart also means to use the right technology, not only for designing, but also for manufacturing. So this means to introduce the right processes. I think some of our colleagues talk about the iterative development, agile methodologies, lean methodologies. So this is something that we keep into account. Of course, it should be done by multidisciplinary teams. And in our case, we try to foster that the teams are self-organized. Okay, so people is able to decide by themselves and to move forward without, let me say, a people who is guiding them. So, and at the end, by generating a new working culture. So I think tomorrow we will talk about the culture, and in our thinking, culture is very important in order to generate smart places, smart fittings, etc. Talking about the services, that we understood that services should be valuable for others, so should be oriented to the openness, and of course should be inclusive for everybody. Also, we understood that services should be able to collect as a knowledge, and the knowledge could be sharing to others. At the end, we generate the services by learning by doing, and of course by learning with others. That I would like to connect this idea, learning with others, with the in my following papers. So what can the new European Bauhaus have an impact in our field? So in my opinion, the NEF can not only generate open, curious people who have the capacity to challenge the status quo, but also encourage them to go to places, factories where it's not their natural place, their natural environment. So sometimes I miss, to have the capacity to have the connections in order to bring people with all their skills, with other mindset to our environment, okay, which is the factory environment. So, at the end, what we need is people who are willing to commit themselves and have the capacity to hybridize open models with closed models. Okay, so this could be an example. Okay, so I was wondering how can we combine, an open model, which could be the Creative Commons, Arduino, etc., inside our environment. So this is the reason why I call adapted misfits. Okay, so this is, in my understanding, what we need to introduce in our environment. So following with the next question related to what role do we understand cross-fertilization strategies play in our field? In my opinion, cross-fertilization means for us an action where engineers, designers, architects, psychologists, etc., cook the future and build up the new versatile spaces, new ergonomic systems, which will apply for a better living. So at the end, in my opinion, we should start from the society, and taking into account the society needs, we introduce this and we build up a team. This team is able to generate some value for the, which is applying a solution, and the solution reverse and come back to the society. This is the reason why I place here a picture which calls La Kitchen. La Kitchen is one of our spaces where we try to cross-fertilize and make some creative ideas, okay? So coming to the last question related to the 3 experiences, ideas, or actions from our field. So these are 3 projects that we carry in the past. The first one is related to the tiny houses, to the transforming spaces, and where in our understanding, this is a particularly for people living in urban environments. So we are trying to offer them affordable living space that they are increasingly in demand. So at the end, the keywords that we use in this project are related to intelligent use of storage, to space saving, to multifunctional furniture. At the end, we are talking about fun living. Second project is related to the generative design, inclusive design, something like design for all. In this case, what we did, we developed a platform which can turn 360 degrees. So this means that the back side of the things could be placed in the front side by turning the platform. Most important than the product itself, in my opinion, is the way that we achieve this product. And the way that we achieve was by introducing different people with different ages, different professions, and also people who were retired. So we bring them to the project, and also they were able to give us some ideas about how to solve this challenge. Last one but not least is related to the circular economy plus green factory. In this case, we did a project related to this, and we understood that in order to generate a circular economy and a green factory in our environment, what we need to achieve was first to start with a leku yo. Leku means place in Basque, and it's a place for me, okay? Then we started, or we follow with a place for the team. And at the end, we introduces a place for the factory. But maybe the most important learning from our side was that we need to introduce these 3 levels, okay? So me as a person, the team, and moreover, the factory, okay? And by introducing or by following this process, then we were able to activate the circular intention in our side, to follow with the identification of the opportunities for innovation, and at the end, to generate solutions of can impact into the society. So thank you very much for your attention, and yeah, open for the next discussion.
Thank you so much. We still have Monika to follow your presentation. Thank you for your voice. I love the idea of society-centric approach and all the examples that you were presenting, like open model versus closed one. I think this is something that we can follow up with the conversation. But now, Monika, not least, the last but not least, Monika from Szczecin.
Okay. And I will ask the same question, if you can see the presentation.
Not yet.
Oh my God, you see, I'm a troublemaker today. Share screen. Okay, share.
Yeah, now it's there. Thank you.
Okay, so so like I follow the question as you did. So for me, like the first thing I was thinking about is like what the smart products and services means for me. And like my answer is very simple: is the Industry 4.0. This revolution that came to us in the 21st century when the internet start to be the part of our life. And answering the question, like combining that with the new European Bauhaus, is that the smart product and services means for us that first of all the products are more tailor-made and the services are more tailor-made, so we are more satisfied with what we achieve and what we get from the companies. And also the companies can produce on demand. So as Eva mentioned, you know, like it's more like this concept of the circular economy, so we are not wasting so much. we are not wasted so much because we know what is needed, because the companies has the feedback from the clients, and they know how to produce. So I divided that into three like answers. Is about the integration of the people with the products via internet. It's about the wise use, the smart use of the materials, and the information are flow vertically but also horizontally. So this is what the smart products and services means for me. About the cross fertilization, it's also like very much connected to the European Bauhaus concept, I think, you know, because it's also the smart way of using the knowledge we have. So we are not inventing the stuff constantly, and we are not using the resources constantly in our like small company at the end of our noses, but we are trying to look outside of our silos, and we start to think what we need, and maybe this was already invented somewhere else. So I very much like this concept: copy, adjust, paste. So while we are not competing with the other branches, we can cooperate and really use the invention that were invented somewhere else, not in our branch. And here I have few examples of you know, this cross innovation in services, for example. So you know the concept of using the car to go. So we don't own our car, we go outside on the street and we use the car that is on the street. So this concept was used by the Norwich Union for the insurance. So you are paying the insurance for the car or for any other item only when you use your item. So first of all, it allows the insurance company to be more competitive on the market, and for the clients to save the money. Another one is this cross innovation between the nature and the high technology. So the engineers were looking how the nature for so many centuries, you know, like was working with the aerodynamic, and this is the example of the Japanese train that used the night fisher, the bird beak to design this aerodynamic fast train. And one of my favorite concepts is the innovation in the like packaging and shipping. So the logistic is the Dutch company Van Moof that produce very expensive electric bicycles. And these bicycles cost like €2,000 and up, and they're shifted from Netherlands to United States or in Middle East. And the people who ship this bicycle, they don't respect the bicycles. The bicycle is the bicycle, so they are just lifting the bicycles and throwing that to the trucks. So of course, you know, this is very fragile product. So at the end of the day, you know, like very many was coming back to the factory and has to be replaced and has to be thrown out because it was destroyed. So they, the people from the packaging and marketing, they thought, so what kind of product is respected by the people who worked in the ship's company? And they thought, TV is something that the ship people respect. So what they've done, they just simply packaged the bicycle into this huge box with the picture of the TV. And since then, the people who works in this logistic, they were very careful with this bicycles. They didn't throw it anymore. They carefully move it from place to place. And because of the smart solution, you know, like very simple smart solution, the drop off, like the return of the bicycles was dropped about 70%. Very simple, but very wise solution. And I think that in this new European Bauhaus is about that, you know, like looking for the smart solution somewhere else and applying that to our branch. So like when I start thinking about my approach and what I can do, you know, like, and what I do. So first of all, I said that I'm working at the Academy of Art and I'm dealing with the new designers. And I thought that, you know, like the most important thing is that the designers cannot design only the objects right now.
they need to put the objects in the ecosystem. So they need to think how these objects or service will react with the ecosystem that it's designed for. So how it will react, how it will integrate, how it will communicate, how this product can be the part of the business model of other products. So the designers cannot think about only, as I said, at the end of the nose, but they need to have the bigger picture in their minds. And then, you know, like when I thought about, you know, like some examples for the European Bauhaus and how we could use the smart solution is like going out from the silos, first of all, and just, you know, like integrate different ideas. So I have two examples of the projects or ideas that came in the mind during the workshops I conducted in frame of the European Bauhaus with the people from my region. And first idea is the Seaside 4.0. It's about the smart grid and using the cars as a mobile batteries. So when we use our phones, sometimes we have these batteries, these banks with the energy we are walking around. And right now, sometimes especially in Germany, there is an overproduction of the electricity from the solar powers or on the wind power. So putting this energy into the grid is more expensive. It is very expensive because, you know, like there is so much energy already there. So we were using about the concept of using the electric cars as this mobile bank batteries in the cities, first of all. And secondly, when we build, you know, like when we thought about the seasides, especially in Poland, the small villages are used only, you know, like they overpack during the summer. So they need like lots of infrastructure during the summer, and in the winter there's only a few hundred people living there usually. So this infrastructure is not needed. So when we use this concept of this mobile banks batteries, we don't have to build the infrastructure. We can use the cars as a mobile vehicles who are bringing the electric from different regions where this electricity is available. And another, like the smaller concepts came from the last workshops I've done. It's about during the pandemic, especially, you know, like everyone started, like very people started to grow their own plants and at homes. So like this Gardens 4.0. So rethinking the way of producing our own food and bringing this food productions to our homes and apartments in the cities. So also it's you can open the door for completely new products and services around this Gardens 4.0. Okay, it was also more like to the ground concept. I hope that I fit in my time. Thank you very much.
Really interesting, adjusting the existing and placing it somewhere else. We all know the control A, control V, so maybe we can even implement something like that in the future. That was the last presentation. Thank you very much for all your voices and all your perspectives. I did switch my view to the gallery so that I can see all of you, and hopefully our audience can see this one in this way. Now it is time for further discussion and questions. I'm trying to combine some of you and what you have said already, but I would like to ask first of all Roberto, if you want to add anything to this conversation as well, if you maybe have some point of view after this variety of views from our participants.
Okay, thanks, Paulina. Congratulations on your contributions, fantastic contributions, and there are a lot of aspects to discuss, of course, but perhaps we live in a context, in the country, mainly in Basque country. Oscar knows perfectly because this company is in Guipúzcoa, near France. We live in a very industrial context, and I usually say that we think in iron, that our society think in iron. When our public administrations are thinking about Industry 4.0 or about digitalization in industry, and mainly in industry, sometimes about services, because our thought is focused mainly in industry and in products, more than in services, more than in experiences. And of course, we are talking a lot about sustainability, about circular economy, about a lot of matters that we know. That what do you think about how to transform the minds, the industrial minds, the industry-focused minds in Europe, really to get a sustainable, inclusive, and a beautiful Europe? Because I think that the main discourse is yet focused in competitivity, in growing, and how to transform minds. What's the role not only of design? What's the role of the arts, of culture, and how to change in line with what Oscar said, how to change the organizational culture in our business, in our companies. I know it's a big question.
Yeah, I think that's a great question, and also from my side, I was also thinking about, because big companies like Eva was showing, like for example Adidas or other great companies, they have research and development units, and they can have a lot of money, and they can put the money into doing these researches and then creating those innovations. And from my perspective, how can we promote this approach, and how can we change this mindset, as we said just a minute ago, and change it into and give it into small companies, because big companies are doing this already, and how can we create this approach as well for the small companies? I feel like Paivi is trying to say something already.
You saw me thinking clearly. I don't really have an answer. Changing the mindset is probably one of the most difficult objectives to do in a big scale. And if I understood what Roberto was saying, you were referring not only to the Basque country and the history of the Basque country, but to Europe in general. And of course, we know that countries are different within Europe as well, in their mindsets. The cultures are different. But maybe this is an easy answer, because it doesn't concern me. It concerns the next generations, and they are not here to respond or take part in the discussion. But I think this is a generation issue to some extent. I'm past 60. My 3 sons, they are 30 plus and minus, and I have a 3-month-old grandson, and I know from my children's generation that their mindset in the context of climate change is totally different from my generation. They don't have these habits we have. They act differently. They pay much more attention to climate change in their behavior. Their consumerism is totally different from my generation's consumerism. So I'm putting hope to a certain extent to the younger generations. And this is also why it would be critically important to have the young generations, and 30 is not even young, I know, they are middle-aged already. So the young generations, the school children, the high school kids, they should be involved in creating new European Bauhaus, creating the content and teaching us older generations as well. They would need much more power in this initiative than they at the moment have. Their voice really needs to be heard. Then another, again, this is an easy answer because this has been repeated so many times. It's the urgency. We don't have a choice in relation to mitigating climate change. It's a must, we have to. But how to sort of positively support the change of mind so that more of us would really believe that this is an urgency. I don't really have a good answer for that, but I see Eva has and Tapani, they have good answers.
But just to follow up, sometimes just asking those questions at the beginning is already like opening a new gate and opening a new conversation. So I think that's something that we can consider. Tapani, you raised your hand first, so I would give you the voice.
Thank you. Yeah. I think that I touched this already in my presentation. I think that the industry have to change from technology-driven to vision-driven. So even the small companies should envision the future and creating those utopians that every workers, every customer of that company want to follow, where they could build emotional bond that they want to make it happen. And a good example was, of course, Kennedy and the guys who sent the guy in the moon when Kennedy was visiting on NASA, and the cleaning lady was there, and he went to that lady that, what you are working here in NASA? And that lady told them that I try to get the man into the moon. And she understands her role, that if the place is not clean, they can't do it. So that's why this utopia vision, using design to foresighting the future, is so important. Thank you.
Thank you, Tapani. And Eva?
Yes, I would like to refer what you, Paulina, said, that big companies like Adidas have their own innovation and research departments. And I'm now taking part in a program run by Ellen MacArthur Foundation. It's about circular economy, and I work with PepsiCo. So it's a big company, a huge company with a great budget that they can spend for research and development. And what I can say after a few weeks of working together, that what they do is they give space for mistakes. So we are now working on a new circular packaging for the beverages. And I can say that they just give the space for new thinking, new way of introducing new products, and for mistakes. And I think that even small companies can do it, because it can be easily implemented in the small companies. And as I said in my presentation, what I really like about the circular economy methods is that they are scalable and they are easily implemented in even small businesses. So we can really make a change, not only when we are big, but also when we are small. So this is something that can be easily done. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. We have a round of hands up. Next one is Monika. Please join us.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so like, you know, like we had this discussion, you know, like more or less like similar discussion during this European Bauhaus workshops we conducted in Szczecin. So yeah, so first of all, you know, like the big problem is that you know like among the young people, and not only young the people, possessing is a prestige. So more we have, you know, like newer stuff we have, we are showing our prestige. So it's like the psychological things. So and we are surrounded by this advertisement, by the billboards, you know, like by the whole industry showing us you need to have new, you need to have new, you are what you have. So like, you know, like starting from the top, you know, changing a little bit this message, it's extremely important for everyone, because we want to belong, you know, like we want to have, you know, and not having means that you are excluded. So this is the first big problem that, you know, like strategic problem that we have to think how to answer that. And secondly, you know, like we are coming from completely different countries, and we are also like, you know, like what we see behind our window is completely different. So like, for example, when I'm going to Finland and when I'm going to Sweden, I'm really feeling relaxed, not only from the audio sound because it's quiet, but also from the visual, you know, like everything fits, you know, like everything doesn't scream. And for example, in Poland is of course, there are parts that are very beautiful, and Gdynia is doing the great job, you know, like with this visual identification and the visual side of the city. But Szczecin is also a very beautiful town, very beautiful city, but sometimes it's so ugly that we are calling that our eyes broke, you know, it's so ugly. And we don't have any like strategical thinking about the places we are living in. We are tired, we are overwhelmed with the communication that's coming, and the children are growing in this kind of environment. So they just grow in these very ugly places. And they then want to buy ugly things. They don't want to buy the stuff done with plastic that are shiny, that are kitsch, you know. They're because they don't know what is beautiful. For them, beautiful is this ugliness that we are surrounded by. So education. I agree with the PEV that, you know, that like growing and educating this young generation, and especially in Poland, showing them how. What is beauty, you know, and how we can live better because of the design and because of the surrounding. It's super important, I think.
Yeah, thank you. And this also connects to this unusual actors, unusual aspects of this initiative, that we can implement them into the new European Bauhaus movement. Ivy, you still you can have your voice now.
Yeah, a very quick reaction to what has been said in the discussion. First to Tapani, when you said that we should change from technology driven to something else. I totally agree. But the question is, how do you make that happen? Because it requires a new mindset in businesses as well. So I would be very curious of hearing how you convince, how you change the mindset in businesses to change their approach. That was my first reaction. And then another one to Eva, you talked about big companies and they can afford R&D, etc., and they are on the path of the change already compared to small businesses. But I would argue that we have a huge number of startups initiated by young people, younger generations, who from the day one do circular economy, are part of circular economy. So it's not a play where big companies do this, small companies don't, but it's more fragmented. And to try to learn also from these small startups, how come they decided to do it in a circular way, mitigate climate change from day one. I think that would be very interesting knowledge for all of us as well.
Yes, thank you. I should not mute myself anymore.
If I can refer to what you said, Paivi, it was, I think we didn't understand each other, because I said that the big companies have their big budgets, but what they do is something that even small companies and startups can do. You know, it's something like that. And I know a lot of startups, unfortunately not from Poland, but a lot of circular startups that are implementing really great services and products within the circular economy approach. So what I wanted to say is that the big companies sometimes have the big budgets, but they use the really basic methods to implement circular products.
Yeah, and if I could build on that also, that I think that the vision leads because it's concrete, tangible. You could see it, you could dream on it. It's that people want that prestige. So it's basically that there start to be internal and external demands company to bring those kind of services and the products into the market. That vision is always needed. Otherwise, you just, I mean, linear economics that it's a relic that you just make waste. But if you could show the better way to do it, people will follow and demand those kind of services.
Yeah, and I think this is also what Monika just said, that you take what already exists, you adjust it and then implement it in a different way. But also I wanted to ask Oscar to join our conversation, because you said this really, and I think that aligns with what we're saying now, that how do we use the open model, open models of business, and then closed model of businesses. So we have big companies where they want to save their property, they want to not to share too much, but also we have those startups and small businesses that want to develop and need some resources from bigger companies. So maybe you, as someone who referred to that, can try to answer this.
Yeah, that's a very good question. Being honest, I don't have the answer right now. But anyway, I do think that in some of the companies we generate knowledge which are transferred in a patent, for example. And I was wondering, what can we do as, for example, if we have generated a patent and this patent is not used. Okay, it's not used because maybe we have not we have not find the proper business in order to introduce it. So I was thinking, why not to share with others, or why not to generate a business model in somehow that we can co-develop and co-create value from that point, from starting from that point. So yeah, I'm very curious about how to build this kind of environment, okay, in order to open what is closed, to open for different people, different branches, and to really co-develop, So
yeah, and I think that just this co-developing is really also what you just said, that it is society-based, because you create something from the society to the society, but there is like a chain of different stages that you need to fulfill and then come back to the society, but still you're working for the people and with the people.
Paulina, if I may.
Yeah, please.
I jump into the conversation and I want to share some ideas. I excuse myself for the background noise because I have the windows open and I don't want to turn on the air conditioning. So yes, about the change, there was this French existentialist philosopher called Albert Camus, and he was saying, you must imagine Sisyphus happy. The story of Sisyphus that is pushing the rock up to the mountain, and then the rock is coming back all the time, and he keeps doing it because this is what he has to do. So this is really about automatism. Once we have this train running, it is difficult to change the course of direction. But there is another French existentialist, is Jean-Paul Sartre. And he said, we really see some moments of reality in the small absurdities that we do every day. And those are moments of awareness in which we actually get aware of that maybe there is another way of doing the things that we are doing. So I think that one of the overarching topic of this conversation is what is a value, what is desirable. And as Monika was pointing out in one way and Tapani in another, there is really, it is really about also the role of marketing that makes things desirable. And it is really about how we define what is desirable so that we have this push in this direction. And then there is this tension between individualism on one side and collaboration on the other one. And the example of Kennedy and the cleaning lady was pretty much accurate, because when I was living in Sweden, usually in some kind of meetings, the cleaning lady was part of the conversation when it was about defining projects that were involved in the space. But this was something that wouldn't have been possible in France, because it is a much classist society. So it is really important, this collaboration, and we see it in the silos system that we have, because we are all over specialized in our disciplines. So we need this kind of brokerage services. But when we think about brokerage services, usually we think, for example, in terms of industry, about clusters, and usually clusters are by a sector. There is also an industrial policy that has to shift, because if we have clusters of all companies working in the automotive, for example, or clusters of all companies working in shoes production, it is difficult to generate this kind of hybrid collaboration.
Yes, thank you. First of all, it's not noise. The birds are singing, so I don't know why would you refer this as a noise. I think I can refer to the train really going quickly, and we're all in this train. And because it's so mass production, and because it's so intense and quick, what's happening now, I feel like it's just not possible to stop this train so quickly. So we need to build our future, but it also takes time. Okay, I don't know if any of you wants to add some more points of view, some more thoughts on this conversation. I don't know also if we do have anything from the audience. That's
Perhaps,
a question.
Oscar, if you want to explain your experiences with introducing artists and designers in different moments in your company, because you are a Basque company linked with a German group, with a big German group. However, you have got a lot of changes in not only about products, but about organizational models, business models, and in the way that you have talked in the relation between individuals, teams, and a company. And I think that at least as I know, the role of arts and design in your process, it's very important, isn't it?
Yes, you're right, Roberto. You are right. So we started since maybe 10 years ago working related to the culture that we wanted to have in our factory. Okay, and by working with the culture, we introduce different peoples with different skills in different levels of our factory, and we decided how we wanted to contribute and how we wanted to work in our factory. So and following this openness, following these new ways of doing, okay, we introduced, for example, a guy who was an architect, and we introduced in our production mindset and steel mindset, and he gave us a totally different view about a new product that we were designing. And we understood how important was to really, to have this new approach, and also in order to really understand what for we were designing this kind of product. So, and this is one of the experience that we have. Another one is related to I shared with you guys before one of our space with was La Kitchen. In La Kitchen, what we do is we cook different ideas, different concepts, and we cook by using different ingredients. So we introduced a guy who was expert in cooking and in generating different labs for cooking experts. And we introduced this idea of ingredients in order to use, once we are building up new products. So once again, we really understand how important it is to generate a lab inside our factory in order to use different ingredients and in order to cook them, So yeah, for example, and another experience is related to the anthropology, so how are we going to design a product if we really don't understand how people are going to use them? So then we introduce anthropologists, psychologists, etc. So once again, we prove that we need this collaborative model, and this is a must for us.
Thank you, Oscar, for this.
There is not better lab than a kitchen. Really?
Yeah, it's one of them, We try from learn from everybody.
Basque people like to match cooking.
Well, I think Polish people also like to cook as well, and I would imagine that we can also create some fusions between the kitchens and between the approaches.
We need to try it. We need to try it.
Yes.
So it will be
Pierogi 4.0.
Yes, I agree. Although,
what do we need to get that an European Bauhaus to be really a movement? That I don't remember who talked about it. I think that
was Paini.
Okay, but what do we need?
Ingredients.
Can I answer that? Because I think there is really no answer. For me, the charm and the wisdom of movements is that you can't decide to create a movement. I really believe in this. They happen if they happen. So if your ambition is that New European Bauhaus one day could be called a movement, you simply need to try to encourage people take part in it. Because as soon as you try to start not dictating, but guiding how the movement should be, this takes the power away from the people. Then it becomes a sort of a top-down movement, and movements aren't top-down. They are always bottom-up. So I would trust people in this. The only thing I think we should do and be able to do and really make happen is to make sure that the voice of as many people as possible is heard. And if those voices together start to see that there's a possibility of something bigger, and there's a dream related to what people are doing. They are dreaming towards a better Europe, a Europe that would serve them, where we would mitigate climate change, but it would also mean that we create a Europe which we really admire and we aspire for. Then it becomes a movement. This would be my way of doing it.
Great. Tapani?
Yeah, I think that new Bauhaus should be a lighthouse. It should lead by example. It should create a desirable future where everybody could join, but you have to build those visions and make those tangible that people could follow and want to join. That is the start for the movement. It can't be just all over and discussion, and it have to get from the lots of talking into deeds, into actions, and we have to show that. That is my opinion.
Yes, and I feel like also you just like people who can just need to decide that they're just doing it, and you don't have to name it New European Bauhaus as long as you are doing certain things to improve the future and to improve the way you behave or product or create services that is just more sustainable. And then it's a win-win situation when you are doing things that are environmentally friendly and you are creating this movement at the same time.
But European Bauhaus could be an umbrella that collecting those. That it's that creates the movement. You know, that they are still branded on it. Otherwise, I mean, how to create movement? Yeah, what to follow?
That's interesting question, but I feel like we already kind of answered this. We're getting close to an end. I don't know, Begonia, if we do have any questions from the audience, or we are not allowing this. Okay.
No, we have nothing. But if you don't mind, Paulina, I will want to say a few words. So I really want to say that when we started the conversation, I began saying thank you very much for being here and for participating in the conversation. And I would like to repeat my words. Thank you, really. It has been really interesting and inspiring, the conversation, intentionally or not. But I think, Paulina, that you couldn't have chosen a better order for the presentation room. Tapani and Pavey have immersed us in a reflection on the meaning of the original Bauhaus and what it would be like 100 years later. And then we have continued with José Manuel, Eva, Oscar, who draw more on real experiences, giving more a practical vision of the dialogue. And we close with Monika, who I think brought it all together, so it was fantastic. And I know it's not my turn, actually we are finishing, but I would like to point out that it's and every one of you talk about the smart industry and smart services, of course mentioning sustainability, functionality and aesthetics as a fundamental part of the process and product design, but including another fundamental leg, inclusion. And that is precisely what we wanted to achieve, a conversation in the framework of the New European Bauhaus, a reflection that will contribute to the co-creation and construction for a more sustainable, inclusive and beautiful Europe. So it has been absolutely great to hear all of you. Thank you very much. And just to finish my words, I just want to remember you that tomorrow we are holding the third parallel dialogue. I am going to share my screen so there you can see. Just a second, please. Yeah. Here it goes. Yes, so we are holding the third parallel dialogue, as I said, and we will talk about culture, creativity, and innovation, led by Matera Hub and Cineclosa from Italy. Actually, as you can see, we are holding a conversation every day of the week until the 15th of June. And for sure, you are all invited to attend this conversation. You have all the links to the streamings on our website and social media. and we are using the hashtags Gropius 2021 and the New European Bauhaus, so you can tag us in everything you want to. And by the way, remember also that we have a final conversation on the 22nd of June. Even the active participant is going to be, of this group, is going to be Paulina. You are all invited to attend the meeting, and hope we will see you then. So once again, thank you very much, especially thanks to Paulina today, who has worked against the clock to bring you all together here, and she has finally come up with a spectacular panel of speakers. So thank you very much, Paulina, and thank you all. See you soon.
Thank you from my side, and wish you luck, and hopefully we'll see each other soon. Bye-bye from Gdynia.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye from Finland.
Thank you. Dziękuję bardzo.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you very much.
Bye.